Welcome to Sovereign Soul Radio. Here, we cultivate conscious conversations to support those of us who are healing and awakening now. I am Ivy, a consciousness steward and holistic practitioner, and please join me in these conversations that are so necessary for our transforming human reality at this time. May we all leave these conversations differently than we came. Where we go one, we go all. And so it is. Hello, soul friends and soul family, and welcome back to another wisdom reading. I hope that whenever you are and wherever you are listening to this, that this episode finds you very, very well and balanced and strong in the soulful center of you. And as always, if that's not where we're feeling right now, knowing to give ourselves some grace and take very good care of ourselves, because we are in some of the most trying and challenging and tumultuous days of humanity. Regardless of how we're feeling, and especially if we do need to generate some more inner sustainability and strength and resilience within ourselves, this little episode is for you. This is for us. So today, this is another wisdom reading from Energetic Synthesis, because that is such an important body of work for us to integrate at this time. And this is all about maintaining our sanity with self-care. So this is for the light workers and the light warriors and the pathfinders and the way showers and the patriots and the anons and all of the awakened beings who are fighting the good fight, who are here on behalf of light to help us all steward humanity and this incredible planet into our next stage of development, the next harmonic universe, if you will, the higher frequency of reality and consciousness that we are together transforming into. And so whoever you are listening to this, and wherever you are in the world and whenever you are in time, I hope that this message today finds you very, very well. And if we're not feeling very, very well, because, we're in crazy, tumultuous, polarizing times on the planet. We're in the biggest days ever. And so we're going to be feeling it. We are going to be feeling all of that. So, a reminder that taking really good self-care can do so much for our mental well-being and our emotional well-being, of course, our physical well-being, because we are these energetic, eternal souls, and we are temporarily in these human bodies. And truly, the degree to which we take care of these bodies really helps grow a lot more sustainability and resilience for us emotionally, energetically, spiritually. So we must maintain and take good care of these bodies, because this is a war over consciousness that we are in. But, we are in these bodies for this experience. So, yeah. So I hope that this is medicinal for you in whatever way you need and you desire at this time. And as always, please take of this what is useful and potent and medicinal for you, and whatever doesn't land or whatever doesn't resonate today, just leave that behind. So tremendous love to all of you. Tremendous love to all of you. Maintaining sanity with self-care. It is clear to all of us in the spiritual community that these are unprecedented times in which we entered a brand new era in 2020. Everything we have known is progressing into something else, an entirely new game on a whole new playing field, and the reality is being reset in the energetic fields as we speak. A new era in which we can observe the metaphysical layers of spiritual warfare begin to manifest itself into the physical world, and that seeing, feeling, and knowing that this warfare is happening in real time is extremely disturbing and sometimes emotionally painful and depressing. There is a saying that those that know cannot sleep. And it is a part of the energetic burden that this spiritual family shares as we watch the unraveling of this controlled matrix together. It can take some time to understand what is really happening when the worlds seem to part in the sky and these auspicious, interesting messages from the fieldwork actually reveal themselves to be truer than true, as this was the pre-warning that we were going into spiritual battle for the end game. The end game is the timeline of the singularity into 0 point, which is the organic timeline of disclosure as it is made to us earthly inhabitants. This is the God Creator plan, and no matter what kind of opposition, resistance, and entity tantrums rise to destroy the world for people to become consumed in the forces of chaos and violence, the infinite Creator has a benevolent plan for all, and there is no stopping it. Yet, inside of the maelstrom of the forces of tyranny and fear, the very fabric of this reality is unraveling at the seams, in so we can look behind the veils. Like seeing behind the curtain, hiding the Wizard of Oz, the process of witnessing and seeing the truth behind these events as it must make itself known to each of us in its own way. This means many of us are here to witness these structures of anti-human control. We are here to observe the actions of ancestral past and track the origins and causal events of how humanity arrived to this utter, insane point of destruction. Despite social engineering and mind control and the rigged system of debt enslavement and consciousness slavery, how did we allow the anti-human blood sacrifice structure propped up by offering the children of this earth to these pedophilic monsters? How did this actually happen? How did they hide this from us all? How did they get away with this for so long? We all have to make an accounting of how we arrived here to the process of awakening to the truth in what has happened to the human race and what blinded us into submission to the most heinous of lies ever told. Thus, waking up to see this for the first time can be emotionally devastating and very, very difficult to grapple in that this has been happening on the earth for a very, very long time now. Our reality has been a lie. It has been a complete sham, devised as an anti-human torture chamber used as a playground for billionaire elites possessed by off-planet entities. What can we learn from this revelation? And what will be our collective takeaway? We must awaken to co-create a new world that is loving and reverent to all of life and to all of humanity. During these tumultuous times, there is a necessity to be the compassionate witness and hold space for the deconstruction of the corrupt system as we view the rotten core of its insides. It can be painful as heck to look at that rotten core that it is. From the place of overwhelm, things can appear to be without purpose. However, nothing truly positive and loving and humanitarian can be built upon the foundation of structures that were built upon rotten filth and depraved intentions. This is exactly why we need to see it and know we cannot feed into those infiltrated structures, but instead we learn to become a productive and awakened person that is spiritually strong and can help bring about the shift in awareness by holding the space needed for others in the future. There will come a day when more humans will know what we know. Who will rise to help these awakening groups? If you are a facilitator for groups at this time, how can you bring disclosure to your smaller groups to help them prepare for the time when the larger scale of disclosure comes? If we cannot face the corruption of the medical industry as the delivery system of eugenics and of mind control, what happens when we are made aware of the heinous crimes of baby and child sacrifice? The heart of humanity needs trustworthy spiritual warriors who work for God and no one else. Thus, I'd like to bring more clarity upon current events happening around us that are radically increasing the forces of chaos in the field, and that for some people in this time, the controlling strategy is to exert another level of internal and external pressures to stress us out into mass survival fears. This means that people more easily lose their center point, lose their inner balance, and then succumb to an array of ego coping mechanisms and even control-oriented tantrums. Maybe we feel sad or depressed on some days as empaths when we are feeling the despair and depression of the collective consciousness. Or it saddens us when looking at human misery and suffering and know that it does not have to be this way. Please notice and pay attention to control-oriented tantrums in your mind and others when the ego gets unruly and starts to throw all of these curveballs into your mind. This is the content of the subconscious mind and pain body aspects that need to be witnessed and ultimately will need to be addressed with some unconditional love, some compassion and empathy, along with the ethical, practical qualities of the spirits of Christos Sophia. The outer world is undergoing an aggressive psychological operation by those who are desperate to control the masses and maintain the 3D narrative to keep their power over the public. We are in unprecedented times, and from the position of expanding consciousness, becoming more self-aware and more self-responsible, we believe it is important to be able to perceive what we are being exposed to in real time. This is so we are able to take better care of ourselves and of our families as much as possible. This means we have to dive into some research with unpleasant and ugly truths and notice the many brazen lies staring us in our faces. We can no longer brush it under the rug or pretend that it is not there. We have to become emotionally mature and spiritually mature enough to be willing to face evidence, to face facts, and at all times be willing to process and feel pain when we realize that we have been lied to by those who have been running the power structures in this world, Who do these people work for? Who pays them? As a result of the outer pressures, I have noticed that some newer awakening beings can reach a saturation point within all of these materials, and they can reach their tipping point. They cannot take any more input because the body, the mind, and the emotional body has reached its limits of processing information in that moment. This is what I would like to direct your attention towards. It's the absolute necessity of being self-aware, and so to listen to your body, to observe your reactions, so that you learn how to best take care of yourself. That you realize in the mass chaos, we must learn how to hold peace and calm, and knowing our inner calm is not dependent on any outer circumstances. We all must learn to hold inner calm in the midst of this storm. Our job is to take care of ourselves, and this concept is key to maintaining your sanity, to holding the balance point in your life and not breaking under the stress and the pressure. Pay attention to your reactions and realize your goal is to form patient, well thought out responses and to refrain from uncontrolled impulses, snap judgments, emotional reactions to the level where you lose your centering. When and if this happens and you are reaching a tipping point, this means you must figure out what you personally need to take care of yourself, and this is different to each unique individual. Sometimes we need a break. Sometimes we need distance. Sometimes we need the space to process. And our job in taking good care of ourselves is to do that at the moment we realize that in the body, where our consciousness is taking us, where we're telling ourselves that it cannot take it any more input right now, to just let ourselves rest and let ourselves integrate. Sometimes people awaken into our community and feel like they have to catch up and burn through the material quickly, running through meditations and information without a lot of reflection on deeper meaning and staying awake to the personal shifts occurring. Integration means we allow the space, we allow the time necessary to process and integrate in such a way that we do not saturate ourselves with information that we are not yet equipped to handle. The information here has a frequency, and this has repercussions on our lives. So we must prepare for this with intending to build a strong foundation, knowing we must clear our negative ego and pain body from autopilot reactions, and with unconditional love, acceptance, and compassion for ourselves. We are learning to observe. We are learning to discern. We are learning to accept and then get back into neutral. A strong spiritual foundation and core self is what is needed. When you are mentally and emotionally stronger, you will have much less fear. This is a state of being when there is no fear controlling you. Instead, the awareness is placed upon the inner reality first, the ability to hold neutral observer. And from this place of observer, your higher sensory perception and your intuition will be much, much more accurate and stronger. When we are fearless in our connection with God Source, our senses will not betray us. When we feel fear, we will see everything from the place of fear, and all our perceptions will be clouded and misguided. Obviously, instinctual fear can be the alarm we need to inform us we sense danger or bodily harm, and we do need to get out of the way. But this is not the kind of fear I am talking about. It is the everyday anxiety or mental fixations which control the perception of most people on this planet. The goal is to shift out of fear and into observer mode and to work this muscle every single day in order to get spiritually stronger. This alone will greatly increase your spiritual strength and your spiritual clarity. It is well worth it to do the shadow clearing and to do the negative ego clearing work to get this beautiful spiritual reward of more inner clarity and coherent thinking. Remember that fear weakens us in every way, and thus to strengthen your inner spiritual power, we must clear fear and know the point of all power is in the neutral position. From the neutral space, then you make your decisions whether to act or not to act, such as whether or not to be in civil disobedience to the tyranny of immoral actions or laws. Coming back into this moment and understanding that as we hold the space in present moment and we understand the truth of who and what we truly are as the eternal God Self. We are the eternal diamond sun, Christic people that have returned to witness this final conflict and to really take the accounting, returning things back through cosmic justice into the natural laws through the compassionate witness and the embodiment of the Christos. We're enduring the most difficult stages of witnessing that spiritual warfare against the Christos consciousness as it is happening on planet Earth. While many of our brothers and sisters on this planet remain asleep to this larger agenda, that is a burden, but it is also a privilege. Knowing the value of this information and higher awareness, while being able to hold calm even in the presence of chaos, in the presence of others' pain, of watching other people suffer. That is the most challenging part of these times. I think that it is important as well. I think it is important as well to see the hype in motion and to see the fear and classifications being used as a weapon and seeing the brazen use of propaganda. The message being broadcast out to all of us is all about survival consciousness. And this is the Achilles heel of where they get humans in the fear bondage loop. This is where they torment the human race by believing in the manufacturing of scarcity. And my friends, we must refuse this. We must refuse this victimizer survival program that they are attempting to saturate us with day in and day out. And we must refuse to allow ourselves to sink into despair by feeling the fear codes within it. This is a survival consciousness and suicide code being spread into the world to spiritually oppress the masses, and it is important for us to do our best to stay out of that low vibration as much as possible. Come back into the observer. Come back into center with knowing you are the eternal self. Know you are eternal. Know that you are God, you are sovereign, and you are free, and that it is now assured. There's no turning back. This ascension process is going to happen, although it may not be what you imagined or expected. The ascension is going to happen for everyone at some point in the future timelines. But the issue is now, we've got to walk through this pile of deep, shadowy rubbish, this mind-controlled debris, and this prison planet game and spiritual warfare that is being played out. This is the rougher part that we're seeing play out in the world now. I do want to make the point at how profound shadow work actually is and how important it is for all of us to recognize our inner violence and clear the shadow selves. This inner work never stops. It doesn't stop for me, it doesn't stop for you. We all have to monitor and assess our behaviors, our reactions, and our thoughts to see what we put out into the world and set into energetic motion. As long as we do that self-observation and honest assessment, this is a supreme protector of our consciousness and our light body. Our organic higher heart consciousness of the inner spirit, this cannot be assimilated into artificial intelligence. That's another very important thing to understand, that our negative ego frequencies can easily be assimilated into artificial intelligence. And when we're using the negative ego as a means to process the outer reality, it becomes assimilated into the artificial intelligence. When we're using the negative ego as a means to process our outer reality, it becomes assimilated into the artificial intelligence. Holding the now moment process and holding self-awareness, we are consecrated and dedicated to this higher ethical system of the cosmic Christ consciousness, of the sovereign law of one. Those loving principles guiding our lives and our lifestyle is a supreme protector of the sacred crystal heart. That doesn't mean we give up critical thinking and assessing our surroundings. We still need common sense in navigating the weaponization of people or things that are used as dark portals around us. It is not pleasant to witness, but it is necessary to be aware that this is an anti-Christ agenda, because this is factual and this is happening globally. I want to help some understand why the mind control transmissions work so well, why the mind control is so effective with so many people around us, to the point where we're living in the theater of the absurd. We can barely believe the surreal nature of what's happening in the world at large and how they're getting away with this charade. But when you understand the negative ego and the unhealed shadow body in a group consciousness, it can easily digress into mob hysteria, and that how our shadow body can be assimilated into artificial intelligence, then it really starts to make sense. The unintegrated shadow parts in this unstable and chaotic terrain lends to ascension madness. Because really freeing ourselves from this mind control transmission is the real shadow clearing work. Really coming into the sacred crystal heart of loving kindness and of compassion is where we can feel our organic being and know that organic being. Know that we can access that 0-point connection with God's source if we can maintain our inner stillness. Be still and know you are with God. We can maintain our spiritual power in the now presence, even through all of this chaos and all of this madness, just by breathing and just by being, going through it, walking purposefully forward. It is what it is. Just show up, stay calm, pay attention, and do the best you can in the moment. This is enough. Many times, this ability to be fully present and aware in the moment overcomes the resistance that they're trying to send to stop or derail your progress. But I do believe that we must stay alert to these kinds of dark portal people and dark portal organizations. To not give traumatized, scattered, and broken people that are in a lot of pain power over decision-making in your life. We cannot give insane and broken people power or authority over our decisions any longer. We cannot allow fear-based people to derail our spiritual progress or let them take over the direction of our projects. This is where we have to access our bravery and our courage to step up to the level of self-responsibility and personal integrity of actions and have that healthy boundary. Know where that boundary is for you when you interact with others that are still asleep and enforcing immoral or tyrannical actions. It is very important that we continue our spiritual work in the world with the emphasis on individuality, of personal autonomy and self-sovereignty by seeking the nature of truth above all else. That we continue on this path of truth-seeking to the best of our ability, taking care of ourselves and whatever else to continue to gain our personal strength, because we have an ebb and flow in showing up for this mission. Sometimes we must reset our direction and take time to sequester for self-care. The spiritual warfare in play at this time is designed to divide and conquer humanity, to stop us from progressing in our planetary ascension and divine mission. Plain and simple. Everything in your body, organic and inorganic, belongs to you. Do not ever forget this, not for 1 second. The law can be commanded that your body is fully controlled by your organic, higher spiritual consciousness, your personal Christ, if and when you commit to expressing unconditional love as your highest power. I wish to impart the hope and optimism of understanding the spiritual power that is available to us now is so immense. As human beings awakening to what's happening on this planet, the ability to connect to these spiritual aspects is so much more viable. There are massive streams of higher consciousness coding and plasmic light entering our system during this time from the architecture that is the cosmic Christ consciousness. The higher frequencies and spiritual ascension coding is so much more present, and so much more possible if a human being can stay out of this fear-mongering propaganda that is an aggravated assault against all of us. We need to do everything we can to strengthen our personal immune system with common sense, critical thinking, and holistic research, and to stay away from anything that is genetically modified, including, of course, vaccinations. Anything created in a lab is being weaponized against the human race right now. Understanding this now to the best of our ability, we are being guided to make alterations in how we interact with the world at large. More of humanity is waking up to understand these larger agendas and the reasons behind them. I do believe that we have the incredible spiritual support of the cosmic Christ consciousness to enact the divine plan of the infinite creator and to help benevolently guide us through this process. This is the time to heal our inner female spiritual links through moments of stillness, of listening, and asking the questions of our inner spirit and our God source to help us navigate the minefield that is the 3D controlled narrative on this earth at this time. May peace be in your body and in your mind and in your spirit. May we always remember that we truly are in this together, that united we are strong, and that the future is so beautiful and so bright, and that the best is yet to come. Where we go one, we go all. Tremendous love to all of you.